Hi guys, welcome to Manhood Explained. My name is Camille. Today is 11th of September 2020 and welcome to video number 259. Today I want to talk about a kind of sad subject, I would say. Something that I thought about just talking about something that might open your eyes and explain why basically most of us fail in our relationships. And it's not only about that. It's gonna go much wider, but it's gonna basically explain why we are not able to find happiness and success in that area of our personal life and our personal ability to feel happy, which basis of it is in many cases an inability to have a functioning and satisfying relationship. And I want to start kind of right next to that subject, somewhere else. I want you to ask yourself a question. What do you have to do if you want to be able to drive a car? That's kind of obvious, right? Nobody has any any objections or anything that you're not really sure what is the pathway for me to be able to be able to drive a car, because that's everybody knows you have to do a course. They'll have to teach you all the theory about how to basically behave, what you're supposed to do, what you're supposed to understand, all those signs on the streets and just lights and colors, and how to kind of manage the car itself. So we've got a theory and they've got a practice. You've got to be trained in theory, be trained in practice, pass the exams, not mentioning even paying the cash, but that's kind of the part of the deal. And then you get a driving license. And I don't know about you, but when I got my driving license, even though I was kind of doing this for like a month or something, the moment I got into my first car, because I bought my car, right after I got a driving license, I just bought some like really old trashy car. I remember getting into it. I started the car. I just did like rounds around my block just to get used to basically driving by myself, because what the scary thing was that I was given a right to drive a car. I had experience with it, but the fact itself that I have to do it on my own without any supervision was scary. Maybe it was me, I don't know, but that was my experience. But then there's additional question. Do you even know that they are like a tests or courses of a higher level? I don't know how they call it in English, but you can learn how to drive a car when it's wet, when it's ice, how to drive a car when you just have to understand how to deal with and what you're supposed to do, how you're supposed to react when your car stop driving on a road and it just starts sliding. There's something like aggressive driving tests, all of those things that you can see in the movies, like drifting and parking. I don't know, doing this crazy stuff that we always like to watch in the videos or in the movies. You can learn that. They're basically courses of a higher level, of higher tier, however you want to call it. They'll teach you much more about how the car behaves and what you can do with this machine, how you can take control over it, especially when the situation and environment that you're driving your car in, it's not as good as a sunny day as we always want to drive in or drive through or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So there's a basic level that you have to pass, and you've got to pass the exams, theory and practice, and then you get a driving license. And then even though you did this, it's going to be scary. But then there are higher level tests and courses that they can teach you even more to feel more secure in your car with your abilities to drive it, and they're going to give you much more satisfaction of driving a car if you really like it. Then if you look at the same way at things like, I don't know, how not to be illiterate, how to write, how to read. Probably most of us went through school, and it took you quite some time to learn how to write, to learn how to read, and then the whole school, it's not only about writing and reading, but then to understand what you read, to all those things which are connected to that. So it wouldn't be just like a mechanical thing that you're able to do, but so you could use it to kind of to be alive and basically have any form of communication with whomever. And let's say more or less there is a level that you reach, let's say end of primary school, that you get some kind of certification that you went through all of this, and you at least supposed to be able to write and read and understand what you write and understand what you read, be able to communicate, verbally or by writing, right? But then we all went through that, right? But then do you know that there are courses of higher level that not only help you to read much faster, but there are even some mnemonic or memory techniques or courses about it as well that'll help you to retain much more of the things that you read, to remember and understand it. And then ask yourselves, how many people go through those higher level exams? How many of you went through this, at least speed reading course? How many of you went through this higher tier of driving course? Because look, we all did this basic thing just to be able to get this driving license, to be able to read or write to some degree. And unfortunately, that's how our world looks like. Even though everybody have a driving license, the level of ability to drive cars, especially in some places, is terrible. Because here in Canada, where it's amazing to watch it. The car will stop like 15 meters, to let you go on a through the crossing or something. In so many other places, it's just never going to happen. They're just gonna drive you. If you enter the street, maybe they think about stopping. And there are places that are terrible about that. We kind of figure it out how to do it, but then nobody really cares about the rules. So that's why how it all looks like. There's tons of place for improvement in how we drive cars as a society, and there's tons of place for improvement how good we are in reading, writing, and understanding what we do, and communication in general. And now ask yourself, what kind of path you have to go through to be able to get married? What kind of path you had to went through to be able to sleep with someone? What kind of courses you have to end to be able to have a child? You probably already know where I'm going with this, probably, like 10 minutes ago. But you've got to understand that looking at comparing, let's say, driving license and a marriage license, not even, some people not even going for marriage, but, being with someone. But I'm going to go marriage because it's having a license. You have one criteria that you have to have. You will have to be 18 or 21, depends on the place, on the planet. That's it. And now imagine what would happen if you would be able to drive a car without doing any course, doing any examination, just no driving license, or driving license that you can just buy, and which means nothing, and just go on a road. How do you think better our world would look like? And how many more car crashes and this horrifying things that would happen on the streets, where people would not have to do any examination and any testing, any learning whatsoever. You see, this is why, if you think about us getting into the relationship, into the family, into life in general, You have nothing. Look, what is the thing that you've been taught at school? You've been taught how to write, how to read, how to count, how to do some, manual labor, some languages. All of these things made you a great worker, great employee. But it taught you nothing about how to build your self-esteem, how to see what your strengths, what your weaknesses, how to deal with them, how to bring something to the table of society, how to be a productive part of it. Nobody taught you how to build a relationship. Nobody told you what are the differences between how we are wired as guys and girls. Now some people try to tell you that there's no difference, which is laughable. And now I really want and I really don't want to go into that sphere, that who is really teaching us and who is really telling you what to do. Because I think like a pinnacle all of this is Greta Thunberg teaching people about green problems of our Earth. But I want you to understand that in general, if you look at life, you were not taught the basic things about life to succeed in it. Because all of us want to be in a relationship. And that's why so many people say that marriage doesn't work, but even though they just jump into it. Because we long for this being together. We long to be with someone. We know that it's great, it feels great. But we're having issues how to make it stable and how to make it satisfying in the long run. Why? Because, guys, we're illiterate. We have completely no understanding, no knowledge, no experience whatsoever in anything connected to that. And even worse, our psychologists say that the new generations, especially the last two, I think millennials are the pick of all of this. We don't even respect our elders. We don't respect people who are elder. The psychologists say that what they do is listening to the internet. The next generation is kind of different, so we'll see how that goes. But I'm not one to bash the whole generation. It doesn't matter. It's like I'm not talking about this to bash them, but I'm saying we're not even listening to the people who will be able to tell you something. But even though me being in a previous generation, I've got to tell you, there was no much, at least in my environment, not much of things that you got from your parents, how to be in a relationship. They taught you some kind of mechanics. How to deal with this, do that, if you want your girl not to be angry, you do this, you do that. Nobody explained why. If you want your kid not to, cry, you've got to, feed it, change the diaper, and so on. But nobody taught you what is the baseline for it. How are you supposed to make it think? What are you supposed to understand to make it enjoyable and satisfying? So that's the thing that kind of I want you to get from this video. There's a huge probability that you are illiterate in a subject of being yourself, developing yourself, kind of understanding who you are and how to make it better, how to get to the point that you will have higher self-esteem because you know what you're good at and how to use it, how to serve, and how to make something for yourself based on your abilities. We just do automatically what we are taught. Nobody taught you how to deal with a relationship. How are you supposed to understand? How do I even make it happen? Because most of us are jumping into a relationship just because she's beautiful, just because, I don't know, we fall in love. Cool, but how long it's gonna last? That's why so many relationships fall apart after this, let's say 6 months to a year, when you're still trying to run on you having a crash on yourselves. But when that's gone, there's no basis for relationship whatsoever. And that's why it all fall apart. We start to argue about stupid things which have completely no basis of being anything reasonable that we're supposed to argue about, because no one taught you that. Not even mentioning kids, because that's like things that you've got to understand. We are illiterate. So if you want to change it, if you want to do something about it, and you found yourself sitting in a car driving through town, even though you have no clue what you're doing, What you're supposed to do? Learn. That's why this is what I want you to take really from this video. It's a huge probability that you're illiterate. Maybe you found some way to make this thing work to some degree that it's still going, but if you feel that it's not enough, you've got to learn. And you've got two ways you can approach this. You can find someone who's going to be teaching you, and please find someone who has at least some few years of success in that, and they can share something that is meaningful. Or you just can try to do it on your own. Will that work? I have no clue. But I want you to understand that you'll have to learn. And one of the things, I'm not going to even talk about it much. If you want to talk to me, go to the website. Even though my target audience are Christians, because this, Christian men is what I'm going for, and you can get it on a website that is, this whole project of Manhood Explained is just like a social experiment that I've just decided to record one video a day for a year or something, just as to give back to self-development people, just for pushing me to do this. So go there. You can just go and just set up a call with me. I'll talk to you and try to help you in your particular situation. If you would like to work with me, then I'll tell you what I've got. If you don't, I won't. I don't know how long it's going to be open, because there are some people who want to talk with me from Christian environment. So if I'll have my calendar, clogged, then I'll just stop, allowing people from outside of this environment to get in touch with me. But if you want, I'll be glad to talk to you. But you've got to understand, it's not going to change my life. It's going to change yours. So that's why, if you're illiterate, do something about it, and then you'll find a way to make it work. Think about it and do something about it, because you're not gonna go far if you try to get a success if you're illiterate. You're gonna change, or you're gonna fall. That's it. If you like this video, like, share, comment. If you didn't, comment as well. Tell me what you think, what is your experience, and if there's anything you want me to talk about, just give me a shout. I'll be glad to do it for you. That being said, see you tomorrow.